Our Thursday book group is in the middle of Rabbi Sharon Brous' book, The Amen Effect. And just this past week, we were discussing a chapter called Grieve and Live. As you might imagine, this chapter is about the importance of being able to hold suffering and joy simultaneously, to be able to both grieve and live. She tells a story of a terrible boating accident that killed a 4-year-old in her congregation. On the Saturday following this tragedy, the child's parents came to Shabbat services to say Kaddish, a traditional mourner's prayer. That particular morning also happened to be the bar mitzvah service for a 13-year-old who had worked very hard to learn his part of the Torah reading and to share his reflections, his sermon on it. So there the congregation was, intent on holding a space for the monumental grief of those parents, while also rejoicing in that teenager's coming-of-age ritual for which he had been preparing for many, many months. Brous ties this situation to the stories she heard from Holocaust survivors of people getting married in the displaced persons camp after World War II. Even in the midst of all that loss, all that trauma, people felt a fierce, almost fevered sense of urgency in reinvesting in life. Brous writes, "As long as this world remains unredeemed, the most human thing we can do is build a spiritual consciousness that can hold both heartache and happiness, grieve deeply and leave room for the light, celebrate wholeheartedly, but always with humble awareness of where the pain lives. Grieve and live and grieve. Because if we're paying attention, every moment is pregnant with both pain and possibility. There is simply never only one or the other." Such an important thing to remember in this time of upheaval, when bigotry is given a free hand, petty meanness rules the day, and the needs of billions are subordinated to the egos of billionaires. In just such a time, we must build a spiritual consciousness that can hold both heartache and happiness. We must blow our hearts wide open enough to contain both sorrow and celebration. Loss and struggle are inherent to life, so we must both grieve and live. I don't know about you, but I find in myself a renewed determination not to let outrage and sorrow steal my capacity for joy. I'm committed to allowing the misery and the woe to wash through me, while also living my best life and fighting my best fight for those whose misery and woe exceed mine. Grieve and live and grieve. There's simply never only one or the other. It seems to me that this ancient wisdom emerges front and center in our gospel reading today. Luke's passage recounts the presentation of Jesus at the temple, a ritual not otherwise attested, which may echo the presentation of the prophet Samuel in the temple at Shiloh in 1 Samuel 2. In any case, along comes old man Simeon, led by the Spirit. Having been divinely promised that he would see the Messiah before he died, Simeon takes the infant Jesus in his arms and sings a hymn of rejoicing, essentially saying, "You can take me now, God, for my eyes have seen your salvation The name Jesus literally means God saves. A light for revelation to the Gentiles and for glory to your people Israel. Already then, in the midst of new life and new hope, there is this note of darkness, this little scent of death. God, you can release me from this life now. Next, Simeon blesses Mary and Joseph. Then, joyful occasion notwithstanding, he prophesies darkly to Mary that Jesus will cause the falling and rising of many and will be opposed. Also, he tells her, a sword will pierce your own soul too. Now that's a heck of a thing to say to the mother of a newborn infant at the Jewish version of his baptism. A sword will pierce your own soul too. My eyes have seen salvation, a light for revelation and glory, and a sword will pierce your own soul too. In a fairy tale, Simeon would be the evil queen who wasn't invited to the princess's christening, turning up anyway in her black rage, cursing the child to die by, say, pricking her finger on a spinning wheel. But Simeon is not out for vengeance. He's simply old and wise to the world. He's a Jew who has lived under Roman occupation his whole life. He has a powerful relationship with the fragility of it all, and an instinct that suffering is not to be compartmentalized away from joy. For the one sharpens the other, just as the other brightens the one. Rabbi Brous points out that, quote, when babies are born, we don't bless them with a life free from heartache. We bless them that they should live a life of purpose, surrounded by love, and that they should use their gifts to make the world more caring and more just. And we bless them that when the pain comes, they don't have to withstand it alone. That's the message of Simeon, whose name scholars Amy Jill Levine and Ben Witherington III suggest may be connected to the Hebrew root of Shema, meaning hear, listen. Hear, listen, Simeon is saying. Darkness laces the light. Misery shadows exaltation. Build a heart. Build a community of hearts big enough to hold it all. Amen.